Okay, so looks like we're set for doing the live. Hello everyone, I am Leah Bott. Sorry. I'm Leah B, one half of Frugal Vagabond.
And I'm Steve, the other half.
So we haven't done a live in quite a while, so we thought, since New Year's, yeah. So we thought this would be a good time. We're almost at the end of the first segment, and we wanted to talk about some of the things that we've experienced so far, and maybe answer some questions. I have some written down. If you do ask questions, give me a second, because the camera, because we've got two people in the shot, the camera is really far away, so it's kind of hard to see all of them, and I will do the best we can. Just checking. Okay, so one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, what do we think about the trip so far? So,
The trip's been great, as far as I'm concerned. We of course had a few hiccups, but then again, for a cruise this long, we've only been 2 months, a little over 2 months now. The couple of ports that we weren't able to tender at was only two. Today we're at Cabo San Lucas, which we tendered today, of course, because we were actually, they're switching out the captain, so it was a schedule that they were planning on doing it. So Captain Stig left today, and we have Captain,
I didn't catch his
I didn't catch his name. But no, it's been great. The neatest thing by far for me was Antarctica.
Yeah.
I wish we could have spent more time down there, but after that, we couldn't tender in, I can't think of the name. No, it was Falklands was first, but then the second one, as we came up into Chile. But then we ended up going, actually it was in Argentina, bottom tip to Argentina. We came up through the Chilean fjords, and that was beautiful.
It was, yeah.
So that was really beautiful. Captain Stig did that instead of, we were supposed to do an overnight, or at least a long stay, the day itinerary.
So I'm agreeing with Steve. I think the trip has been fabulous so far. I'm really excited about the fact that we finally got to a tender port today. That was pretty awesome. The only disappointing thing about Antarctica for me was that I didn't really get to see penguins. So
No penguins.
no penguins for us anyway. They were around, and we were doing other things when they were around, and we missed what little they had.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's how we feel about the trip so far. So the next question, how do we feel about the possible big change in our routes?
Well, it is possible. And obviously you mentioned the Red Sea.
Which is all the buzz right now.
Yeah, it's all the buzz. Of course, they're supposed to make an announcement on the 16th. So, and that'll be as we're going worldwide. But if they do make changes, obviously it's for the safety of the ship and the passengers and the crew. That's their primary, is the passengers and the crew. So we understand that and we respect that. Appreciate it. So yeah, me personally, if it was my decision, I would, at this point, unless something changes between now and when they can make a change and be able to adjust for all of our ports that we're going to. The Mediterranean is what will really be disrupted, because if we go around Africa, we'd be coming in from the west as opposed to starting in the east and coming back. So they would have to rearrange a whole bunch of stuff.
I'm gonna answer one of the questions before I give my response to the question I asked ourselves. Is getting to the better tender ports. Yeah, I think we're going to have a lot more smooth sailing opportunities going forward. So we're pretty happy about that. And then as far as the possible big changes, I think if and when they do decide to change our route, it's going to be really disappointing that we're going to miss at least one of the...
Well, it depends on how they rearrange it.
Well, yes, that's true.
You guys aren't on the air, are you?
Yes, we
Oh,
are.
okay. I didn't want to interrupt you.
That's okay.
But I did.
You're not.
Okay.
We're good.
All right.
We're using the card room on deck 4, and
Fellow passengers
every
came in.
single space on this ship
Yeah.
is totally accounted for 24/7. There,
Yeah.
so this is going to be a little bit off topic, but When people ask, don't you get bored being on the ship all the time? No, because there is literally 5 things going on at any given moment, unless it's the middle of the night when most people are sleeping.
Oh, just the weather generally,
And this is
wanting
just a
to
good
get
example. We
warmer.
had to check 2 other places before we found some place that was empty where we could do this. Anyway, okay, back to the original question about the possible big changes. So the consensus is that it makes the most sense if we end up going around Africa instead of going to the Red Sea,
I definitely do.
which is going to be a huge change and take way longer. So it's going to be interesting to see how they put that together. I think that's one of the reasons why we don't have a definitive answer, because they're probably still figuring some of that out and making that right. So the question about the internet package, you seem to always have great access. Is it costly? Free. So since we are on the 9-month full world cruise, we have 1 device per person, free internet.
Well, it's
Or, well,
included in the package.
Sorry, yes, it's not free. It was included in the package. So,
And it's the Starlink. So
which has been phenomenal.
It has been, even down in Antarctica, we still had coverage. It got a little dicier around in South America, but here again, there's not a whole lot of people down there that would provide network.
So earlier when I come around the side, Keith. Earlier when I pitched the live, it was to do an interview with one of our fellow passengers, Keith, and I had originally scheduled this for 7:30 p.m. We were in Central Time Zone then, and overnight we switched into Mountain Time. So TikTok very nicely changed the time from 6:30 to 7:30 for me and would not let me update it. So we're actually going a little bit early here. And yeah, so we're going to swap out. Steve will come back later, but we're going to go ahead and do the interview with Keith right now. And then Steve will be back and we'll talk about other things going on with the trip and the ship. Yeah, that's true. Well, so most of us are kind of, this isn't just specific to Steve and I, but most of us are kind of world travelers, and this kind of stuff happens all the time in international travel.
Well,
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Keith, just to give people a little bit of background, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right, I'm a judge, and I like to be very active. I'm married. I have 2 adult daughters. What else would you like to know? I like to play sports. On the ship, I play a lot of pickleball. Me and a lot of friends on the pickleball court.
Oh, I've seen the post for that. And you partner up with Christian, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Christian,
they're very
yeah.
good.
We took second. The last minute.
That's pretty good.
I think he's going to take first with his new partner. Once I
Oh
leave.
no.
No, that's all right. I get to play with him. I'm going to come back in August.
Okay.
So I get to at least partner with him at least one more time.
Okay.
See how I do between now and then.
So what was your inspiration for doing the cruise?
So I've always been interested in. Should I look up at the camera? Look at you.
Totally up to you. We're doing a talk show, so either.
Okay. So I've always been interested in the world cruise because I like to see all the different places. I don't like to waste time on planes and cars and trains, whatever, transportation. So the world cruise is very efficient, you know, because you don't have to waste all the time. And it's also, from a cost standpoint, if you broke it up and you flew to all those different places, it would cost so much more money. And one of my daughters recently got married. She's like probably have kids in between like 2 and 3 years. And then we're planning on being active grandparents. So we figured
Do it now.
now is the time before we have grandkids.
I will say that before we left on the trip, a lot of people were like, how long? And I'm like, oh, I could not be away from my grandchildren for that long. How can you do that? Steve and I don't have grandchildren, so moot point. But so there's a specific reason why Keith and I are doing this interview. He has another big goal in mind, and that is being on the show Survivor. And so I'd like to ask you to tell the audience what was your inspiration for wanting to be on that show?
So I remember when Survivor first came out many, many years ago, and I saw the dynamics of all the people and voting each other off and making alliances, and I thought that would be great. That kind of fits my personality, but back then I was too busy. I couldn't take the time off, so I just kind of put it in the back, of my head. I didn't really think about it, and so fairly recently, my daughter says, "Hey, I was watching Survivor with my friends, who they also know me because we've gone out and done things together. We go kayaking, whatever." They said, "We think it'd be great on the show." So I said, "Well, let me just see if they're interviewing." And I did a little search, and lo and behold, they are. So I decided, I'm going to apply, and that's how I got inspired. I also figured I have a good story to tell. About 5 years ago, I was working out in the gym with my partner, who's like gym partner. Married to a woman, my gym partner, just to be clear. We're working out together. I get this call. He says, "Hi, we're telling you about your results from your test." And it was a colonoscopy. So I figured they'd say everything's fine. And they said, it's cancer.
I'm curious, did they tell you that over the phone, or did they tell you had to come in?
They told me on the phone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which I would actually prefer. Once you tell me to come in, I'm thinking the worst already.
Right.
You might as well just tell me on the phone.
Okay.
But I gotta say, I did get in trouble with my wife for texting the results. But in my head, first of all, I'm kind of freaking out.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
understandably,
I'm working out before I have to go to work as a judge in, I have this time span, and I'm working out with my partner. So I'm like, I feel like I have some obligation to my partner to finish the workout with him, and then I have to go to work. And I want to tell my wife and my kids the most efficient way to do that is to send a text. But she wasn't happy with that.
That wasn't the best plan.
Wasn't in hindsight, I think I made a mistake.
Lori says she saw your handstand with Dr. Jennings, so yay.
Yeah. So normally I do headstands.
Okay.
Like that's part of my routine. But I saw Jenny and Christian doing the handstands. And so I'm like, I'll try that. So they were helping me out with the handstands, give me some advice.
Yes, that's awesome.
I'll work on that.
Okay. So,
There's people on here making comments.
okay.
So David and Kelly said hello, and everybody says that you look very fit.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm approaching 60. I'm arguably in the best shape of my life. When I got cancer, I had 9 months of chemotherapy of stage 3 colorectal cancer, which also I'll tell you why that's a motivating factor to kind of get well known about that. And I thought I was fairly healthy. People didn't think I was. I thought, I could lose 10, maybe 20 pounds. You couldn't, right? But I lost 40 pounds from then until now, and I got even more healthy. I'm like super healthy, and my mom has dementia, and so I didn't. My friend died of colorectal cancer. Another friend died of breast cancer. So I took it very seriously, and it wasn't worth it not to be healthy. And I want to be not just healthy so I live long, but healthy so I live well.
Right. Health span and lifespan.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Health span and lifespan. A lot of people have told me that I've been very motivating to them, both from a survivor cancer standpoint and from look, you're approaching 60 and you're way more active than most 40-year-olds.
Yeah, which is important as you get each decade, it gets more and more important. So I'm going to use this as a segue into a shameless plug. And I'm going to ask you, have you heard of the book Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia?
I know of Dr. Peter Attia. I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I'm not really familiar with his book, but I am familiar with his name.
And it's been on the bestseller list quite a bit since it first came out. And I think it hit the bestseller list the first week it came out. And it's a phenomenal book. And I think if I can find some white space in my day. I may be doing a book club on that in the future. We'll see.
I'm pretty sure I heard him on the podcast. If he did a podcast, I heard him.
Oh, it's called The Drive.
His own podcast?
Yeah, his own podcast.
I think I heard him on somebody else's podcast. You know, they do the cross.
Yes, they do. And he has been on a few. So, phenomenal book, Outlive. Possible book club thing coming up on that. So, all right, back to Keith. So I'm curious about why you. I watched the video that you put together as part of your application. So and I'm assuming I've only seen yours. I haven't seen anybody else's, but it leads with I'm going to be the next survivor, right? So there's that confidence. So what is it that you think is going to help you, or makes you? How did I phrase that? Why do you think that?
Well, I'm very motivated, disciplined. I'm good at creating deals, mutually beneficial deals.
As a judge, I bet you do.
And so I think that'll help me on the show because basically if you make a deal with me, it's going to help you. And when people start to realize that, and everybody wants to make deals with me, that keeps me on the show. Also, athletically, I am I'm probably, it's hard to say, it depends on the show, but let's say I'm average for the contestants. But I'm probably above average in helping a team survive. Like I know how to strategize at that. So when it's the team part in the beginning, they're going to want me on the team. But by the end, when it's individual, I'm not that much of a threat. There's going to be people that are better than I am in the individual challenges, so they're going to be more threatening, like, because we can't get them off. Like, this is our only chance, because they're going to win everything. I'm not going to be the guy that's the only chance to get me off, but I am also not going to be the person you don't want me on the team.
So, somebody Alexandria just said, she just got here, so who are we interviewing? So, this is Keith. This is Keith. He's one of the fellow passengers on the Ultimate World Cruise, and he is also applied to be on the show Survivor. So we're talking to him a little bit about both the ship journey and the journey to be part of Survivor.
I'm hoping the publicity gets back to Survivor, because I don't know if they even saw my video.
Because I imagine they get thousands upon
Yeah, so
thousands.
it was kind of weird. So I tend to prepare for those. So before I even did it, I went online, I started going through the application so I could see what the questions were going to be, what the process was. And I got this email that said something, I don't remember what it said, but it confirmed, how far I went, but I didn't submit it at the end. So then when I actually did submit it, ultimately, I never got an email.
Oh, you didn't get a response.
I got something that popped up on my screen that said submitted,
But no.
but I never got an email.
Yeah, no
So
confirmation.
I don't even know if they got it. I mean, I have this suspicion, I don't know if there's some system where once you did something, somehow it registered I already did something, and maybe I could do it again. So I'm wondering if they even got it. Frankly, everybody that sees the video says, oh my God, they're going to call you, that's a great video. And then I know they want older people. They don't have that many people, in my generation that people can root for. Like, yeah, that's my generation.
That's true.
So,
So, Lori says, good luck, Survivor's a great show.
Thank you.
I don't typically watch a whole lot of television, but if you make it on the show, I will watch the entire season, I promise.
a lot of people don't have that. I watch it like way at the beginning, but I'll watch it again if you're on.
Well, but right before we came over here, we did some visiting family, and it was always on there, so we'll be joining the crowd.
It's a good show. I mean, it's the life lessons, I like that you see real people.
Yeah.
And I like to be real. And I look forward to being in a situation where they want you to be real.
Yeah.
And vulnerable. And I think it'll be interesting, and I think it'll be helpful because you connect with people when you're real and you just put it all out there.
I would imagine, just given the makeup of the show, I bet there's probably kind of a split. Because when you go through trauma together, which is essentially what the show is, it's trauma after trauma, you bond with people that you go through that with. So even though, when you get to the alliances and stuff, and there's always some people that are not nice and are booted off the island for that very reason. I imagine 6 months later, you still have a connection with that person, even if you didn't like them while you were taping.
Right.
That's just a guess. On
Well, I mean, my plan, I mean, that's the way I am with most people. I mean, I think relationships are super important. And I've thought that forever. And like when I told my kids from the time they were little, like they started kindergarten and first grade, I said, look, if you're going to go to school, here's what I want you to do. Learn how to make and keep friends. Learn what they teach you, the material, and learn how to do well. And notice none of those things are get good grades.
Yeah.
Once you get to high school, you're going to have to get good grades. But before that, that's not your priority. Don't make it your priority. Don't worry about it.
Retaining the information is
Yeah.
more important than
Yeah,
what
it's
you
not.
get on
Yeah,
the
you
test.
have to retain the information. You have to learn how to do well. You don't need, because sometimes I'd be like, this is such busy work. Wasted time. As a kid, and I was, as a kid, I was like, I was a B+ student. You know, because I learned the material, but I hated doing stuff that I knew didn't really matter.
Okay, I'm going to point something out. So Alexandria said, make a TikTok. We will get you on Survivor.
Okay,
But
I have one.
He has a TikTok.
Is it gonna? You link up to my TikTok? It's a Survivor application.
I don't know how that. What's the at for your TikTok?
No, I'm the only Schulner, SCHULNER.
Okay.
So if you look for that, you'll find me.
Okay.
Well, I'm the only Keith Schulner in the world, but I think Schulner is my tag.
Okay. So Alexandria, if you find it later, let us know, and I will try to. Yeah. So his application for Survivor is the one thing he has on TikTok.
That's the only thing I have on TikTok.
He's only got one
I
video.
put TikTok on it just for Survivor, basically.
So if I can figure out when we finish the live, if I can figure out how to add that, or actually I can, because I know I can put it in
For
on
sure, you
text.
can put it. Yeah. I know you can put a comment, but then it goes down to the bottom.
And then I could do a mention and a tag for him. So I will do that if I can figure out how to put it in this video when I go back and play the 10-minute chunk of it. Can someone type it? I didn't get it. Oh, Schulner.
SCHULNER. That's my last name, and my first name is Keith, Keith. So I'm actually the only, as far as I know, the only Keith Schulner in the universe.
That would be rare, huh? See, and-
Google it. Google it. You won't find another one.
So this is kind of similar to the question that you just answered. But is there anything else about your background that makes you more likely to win? Stamina. We haven't talked about stamina.
Yeah, I have pretty good stamina physically. I also have good stamina mentally. Like they do these things where you have to basically be in pain. I'm pretty good at that.
Okay.
I do worry about, like, there's this one thing where you go under the water, like the waves get higher and higher, and they're trying to so I have a love-fear relationship with water. I love the water. I kayak, I sail, I do, all these things in the water. But I've also had some near drowning experiences, and I had a friend who drowned. So could go either way, and some of those water things, might freak out.
I get that. Drowning. That would not be my favorite way to go.
Yeah.
Or my preferred way, not favorite. Okay, so what skill sets do you have that make you uniquely qualified? You talked about one so far. Maybe two.
Yeah, so
Let's just list them out for the people who are just joining.
all right. So physically, I am in good shape. I have a high pain tolerance. Mentally, I'm a very good problem solver. Actually, like there's a graduate management aptitude test, for example, which is mostly problem solving. So the highest average for that, for any MBA, like the top MBA, I think would be Stanford. They might have a 730 average. I get a 770.
Okay.
So
Nice.
there's problem solving, which I'll do well at. And the flip side is, I don't to oversell myself, I don't have very good memory.
You don't?
No, ironically, right?
That-
My memory's not very good, and I'm a slow reader. So like some of the stuff, and the puzzles I'm not very good at. So I mean, I have pluses and minuses. Like I said, that makes me less threatening from a certain standpoint. And I'm good at getting along with people. So even if I don't win all these, if I win some of the challenges, but I'm not going to win the majority of challenges, like they less threatening, but yet not voted off because
Because you're not a threat.
because I'm not a threat.
Okay.
Good enough to be helpful, but bad enough not to be a threat.
So Alexandria just asked too if you're on a full 9-month cruise.
So I've been on since the beginning for 64 days. Originally, that's what we planned to do, but I actually asked my wife, do you want to go on a full, was it 270 some odd days or something?
274, yeah.
Yeah, world cruise, and she said, no way. That's way too long. I said, how about one segment, 64 days? So she said, okay.
All right.
So we agreed to that, but then once we got on here, we started making all these friends, and so we're going to return for the last 2 segments.
Awesome.
So we're going to finish with everybody. It'll be like a reunion
That's
for
really
like the last 30 days. And it's mostly all about, I mean, we could have gone, we didn't even look at other trips because it was about the people we met, not where we're going to go.
Yeah. So you seem like you have a really adventurous spirit. So where does that come from?
I've always, you know, I don't know, genetics, I guess. I mean, I've always, like, I try different foods. I like trying different things. I guess it's interesting because I'm like easily bored and easily entertained at the same time. So I guess that makes me adventurous.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because I don't want to do the same thing and get, oh, this will be fun. So this, I also, I like to get better. Like, it makes me happy to get better things, but I'm not so focused on winning.
Yeah.
So like some people, if you can't win, they don't want to play. And then you're going to be not very adventurous because, I mean, there's always people better than you. So.
Always.
But if I'm willing to just do something and have fun and get better, I can try lots of different things. And people say, how good are you at this sport? How good are you at that sport? And the answer is almost always, I'm better than the majority of people in the world and worse than the majority of people that play regularly.
That's fair. That concept just reminded me of one of my favorite quotes about, I can remember how it goes. If something is worth doing well, it's also worth doing poorly. And the thought behind that quote is that everybody sucks when they first start doing something, right?
Right.
And even if you don't, and consistency is the key with lots of things in life. So if you're going to be able to do, if you don't have time or the energy to do it well, you can at least keep up your consistency and do it a little bit. So
I say practice makes better. Some people say practice makes perfect.
no.
Practice makes better. But from what you said, like my wife and I, we took martial arts together,
Mhm.
and I had a couple of belts before she started, and she was taking the class together, and she says, "I'm the worst person in this class."
You're the newest.
Of course you are. You're the newest person. Everybody starts. I mean, almost everybody starts off the worst person in the class. And of course, by the end, she was better than me at form. Like, all the katas and everything. She had better form. Everything she did was better than me. I like sparring better than her because it's just more reactions. I guess I like reacting. It gets back to the memory too. It was hard for me to remember.
Is that always that you've had a poor memory, or is just as a teen?
I've always had a poor memory, but it's not across the board. I remember people's faces. I remember what happens. I remember stories. I remember logical things.
Okay.
I don't remember names, dates, colors, clothing, and things that I don't find helpful or interesting. But I don't have a choice. I can't say, oh. Sometimes I know I need to learn this for school. Actually, I'm learning. I sail, so I need to learn how to convert a magnetic north, a true north, all this kind of stuff that you would need if you didn't have a GPS.
For the record, GPS doesn't work very good at the poles.
But they have, that's true. But usually where I sail, there's machines that tell me where to go.
Sure.
So, and it's a lot of work to learn all this stuff. So I'm doing it, but it's really hard for me to get around that just because I really kind of didn't want to, but I have to.
Yeah.
But so I just, I struggle with that.
Okay. I don't think we have any more questions left out there to cover. But you guys, what else do you want to know about Keith and
Go ahead, ask me
Squire?
anything.
Yeah, it's an AMA. That's how I built it. But while we're waiting to see if new questions come in, is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Oh yeah, I also remembered. So I had my colonoscopy at 52,
Okay.
because on the website for my provider it says you have these 3 different tests. You can do one every year, you can do one every 5 years, you can do colonoscopy every 10 years. So I did the one that was every year. And then after the second one, my doctor said, why haven't you had a colonoscopy? And I said, because your website says these are all the same. Like, oh, that's not the same. You should really have a colonoscopy. So I did the colonoscopy. And I had 4 polyps. One of them ultimately was stage 3 cancer. It spread to one lymph node. If I would have had the colonoscopy at age 50, they probably would have just taken out the polyp during the colonoscopy. Instead, I had a surgery where I lost 9 inches in my colon, and I had 6 months of 2 different chemotherapies. And now I have permanent neuropathy, which is like a tingling and numbness in my hands and my feet.
And that's
From the chemotherapy. And I got celiac disease from the chemotherapy.
Gotcha.
So,
Get your checks
get
done.
your colonoscopy a minimum of 50, but now they're saying 45, and if you have a history, whoever had that history, whenever they first probably had something, that's when you have to start getting it. If I would have waited 2 more years, I would be almost assuredly be dead. So I've convinced, I know a number of people well over 40 to get colonoscopies, and some of them had polyps removed. So probably I've saved lives. But because they weren't getting the colonoscopy, so they heard my story.
Gotcha.
So another part of my motivation is people hear the story, people get their colonoscopies, people save their lives.
And it's not a fun process. None of it is, but it's necessary.
The colonoscopy itself isn't bad. The worst part is drinking
the prep
the liquid.
is the worst part.
That's the worst part. Is drinking the prep liquid. The colonoscopy is like, okay, if you depending on where you go, but where I go, it's like, okay, count backwards, 5, 4, 3, okay, you're done.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
it. That's it. Yeah, but the prep is not pleasant.
Roxy said she just followed you, and
Oh, thank you.
I can't read the next name, but it's asking what type of judge you are.
So, I'm the type of judge they don't want me to tell you, so I'm not going to tell you what type of judge they are, because that's like a no.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
Great advice from Lori. Yes. Let me think.
You could probably Google it, but your business. I'm not going to tell you what.
No. So that's all the formal questions I have for you.
But don't post it. If you find it, keep it to yourself.
Yeah, please don't post it.
Don't post that comment.
So you're gonna do. You're almost done. We're almost done with the first segment. So the Americas is
Saturday.
ending on February 11th, Super Bowl Sunday, and we are gonna be in LA for that. So what do you guys do after that? Where's home?
Home is Ventura County,
Okay. So
California. My daughter's going to pick us up. Drive, pick. She has her pets too.
Okay.
She'll get the pets. She'll bring us home.
And she's been taking care
She's
of
been
them.
taking care of the
And
pets.
she's good for taking care of them again when you come back, maybe.
Maybe not. Probably not. It was a little harder than she thought.
So
So we might have to find somebody new.
you have other children?
We do, but she's got 2 cats, and her cats don't seem to get along with others.
Oh, okay.
And we're probably, hopefully we'll have somebody house it. We have a very nice house, so they can house it, watch the pets. Free stay at my house for free.
Yeah. That's a big deal in Ventura. Okay.
Well, that's one disadvantage, which I might use to my advantage maybe, is I live in a nice house where I have a boat dock, and it's going to be.
Roxy, his wife is with him. Sorry. Somebody asked if you were a solo traveler or.
Oh yeah, I'm just with my wife and now a bunch of new friends.
Yeah. And then the next one is, what part of the world are you most excited to see or experience the culture of? Where
Well,
are you
should
most
I-
excited about
Well,
going?
let me just add one thing back on the thing. So, I actually created the Facebook page. A lot of people are following for the cruise, like over 15,000 people.
Yes.
And the reason funny thing is, the reason I created it was there was already a page that says Royal Caribbean World Cruise. I tried to join it. They said, send me your ticket. I sent them my ticket, and then they said, oh, you're not on the whole World Cruise. You can't join. So then I created. They have less than 1,000 people on the page. So I created this page, and then when we went to Antarctica, there were some really cool pictures, and it exploded. So now we have over 15,000 people just following. Oh, that's so great! You know, they're just basically living through us. Nowhere near the TikTok level. Still fun.
So which place are you most excited about seeing?
Well, I'm almost done now, but I really like Antarctica as far as visually. It's so beautiful and seeing all the different icebergs. There's that one.
So you've seen it already.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost done. So I'll tell you what I saw. So it's not in the future, in the past, since we're almost done. And I've already been to Mexico, so the rest of the cruise isn't really that exciting for me. But so Antarctica was beautiful. I remember this one, actually, my most liked post, I think, was that they got over 5,000 likes on this iceberg that was looked like a tunnel, was over like a size of a football field. I also like the animals, so like the monkeys climbing on top of me and everything. I thought that was really neat. And I like to see the cultures, but none really stands out. But when I do go to town, just walking around and seeing how everybody lives, it's fun to actually get to eat, you know, what they eat. Going to their stores. And,
That's probably my favorite part too. Just basically walking around and absorbing it.
right.
I mean, the excursions are really cool. Don't get me wrong.
Right. You kind of like to do both. I mean, you want to see the must-sees, but you also want to see the real life.
So there is also a question about how they can follow you. So can you give them details on your Facebook page and your TikTok?
So again, since almost all of it you probably find with my name, Keith Schulner, but it's the Royal Caribbean World Cruise is on Facebook. If you Google that, it's the one with like 15,000 or more followers. And TikTok is, I think it's just my last name, Schulner, but you can always Google my name for any platform, really. If you Google Keith Schulner in the platform, that'll be me.
It should come up.
Keith, K-E-I-T, Schulner, S-C-H-U-L-N.
Okay. So I think, Elena, you should be able to find the Facebook group now. And Roxy says, I hope you keep interviewing. I'm not sure what that means, Roxy. I think we're kind of...
If you're all you other influencers on the cruise, you have like a couple of days more before I get off. Jump in on it.
Yeah, if you want to do a live stream and invite him along, he's more than happy to participate. Time permitted.
Yeah, like this. We have C Day tomorrow.
Yeah, we do. We have a C-Day tomorrow.
2 days?
And then-
Can't remember.
Is it
One
just
day?
one? And then we're in Ensenada,
And then another C Day.
and then another C-Day after
So
Ensenada.
those are you got 2 more C Days, so it's gonna be fun. Come and get me while you can.
If you write it, we can look it up. From Dawn, just the last name and one video on TikTok. Yes. And I will, Dawn, I am going to try and put a link to it in this if I can figure out how to do that. I'm really very new to TikTok and I'm not very smart with it.
You have a lot of followers for being very new.
Yeah, I know. No, it just,
Did it explode at this cruise, or you already?
yeah, it did. It exploded actually before I got on the ship and got even bigger after that. Once other TikTokers started covering what we're doing on the ship, that's when it kind of grew. I am not complaining in any way, shape, or form. I'm loving this. It is so much fun. Okay, so I'm gonna let you go and have
All right.
dinner because I think because if you weren't here at the beginning, the time's screwed.
I ate, but another person that can't eat gluten ordered a gluten-free pizza that they're not going to finish, so I think I have a half a pizza waiting for me.
Awesome. All right. Reach out when you find his TikTok. Reach out if any of you want to do interviews with him for your TikTok page. And yeah, there you go. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're gonna switch out. Keith's gonna step out, and my husband Steve is gonna get on. Don't walk away with my microphone though.
Oh, yes,
That's-
there you go, Steve. Especially when I start talking. I'm like,
Yeah, because he'll head to the bathroom now.
that
Nobody
won't
wants
be
that.
fine. Have to turn it off.
We'll see
Bye.
you.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks.
So really amazing story, huh?
Hey.
Welcome back, Steve.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Doing okay.
Did we have any more comments on the other side?
It kind of calmed down because, one, being able to turn it and, like we're doing with the TikTok side, the YouTube, if we flip it around so you can see the screen, you'll at least see some of it. I think if we turn it vertical, you'll be able to see the questions like you do over here.
Oh, so I messed that up.
Well, what's something that we just need a method change, as it were. But it'll be good. There's quite a few people on there. They had mentioned a few things, and we do appreciate the questions. He answered a few of them, I do believe. But they were very. One talking about how fit he is, you know, considering how much health issues he's had.
And we all know how, well, I'm not 60 yet, but we all know how hard that is. Because it gets harder every
It
year,
does.
especially, you know, as the decades go on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring the conversation back to, Steve and I were basically talking about the trip so far. We're both big thumbs up. How do we feel about the possible big changes in our route? We were kind of still discussing that when Keith came in. The short version of the story is we're just going to roll with it no matter what happens. And if they do change, and this is again all speculation, all opinions, there's no official word coming out of my mouth right now because there isn't any to give. But if they do make a change, the guess is that it will happen in Dubai. And so that's, we have friends that we want to see, specific things that we want to do there. Yes, we're going to be absolutely crushed if we don't get to do the excursions that we have booked for that section. It's out of our hands, it's out of both Ruby's hands. No, you're fine. We have noise canceling microphones. You're good. Anyway, so that's where we're at with that. So the next thing I have down here is, okay, no more questions. What's a typical day like? So a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I did a funny video about what my husband does all day long making videos. And it was tongue-in-cheek, it was very much a joke. So what do you really, how do you fill up your days for real?
Well, one, I still need to start getting back to the gym, which after LA, I'm really gonna push that. Get back to that groove. That's one thing I've been missing. But it's just almost like a normal day, especially like on a sea day. You know, we get up, and get ready to go get breakfast, and start running the ship, seeing people, and getting little videos and some pictures. One always looking for the marine life.
Yes.
Actually, when we were coming into Cabo this evening, or this morning, actually saw a few whales. I'm not sure if they were hunting or blue. They were off in the distance, but you see them scouting. It was really pretty cool. Go by the pool for a little bit, and relax, use the nap. And one of our friends was talking to us today, and he talked to some of the senior staff employee that, and he's big time to the gym. He was saying that with the rocking motion of the ship, when you're sleeping, it's your brain still sensing that movement and thinks it should be awake, so it's active more than like when you're normally sleeping at home on a still bed. Solid ground, which kind of makes sense because I always have a little bit of tiredness through the day, and that would kind of explain it. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but that's what it's explaining. Sounds reasonable. Your brain still thinks it's moving around.
Roxy, what profession are we both in? We're both retired.
Professionally retired, yeah. No, we used to do a little, how we went to
Government contracting,
Yeah.
essentially. And for me, construction, and for
I was more, well,
operations stuff.
operations side, but we did several other things. We met in Afghanistan, so we were supporting the troops over there. So we basically would take care of the base that they were on, and so they didn't have to worry about anything. They didn't eat, they didn't have to clean up, they didn't have to worry about rebuilding the living quarters that they were in. So they just worried about what's outside the water. And that was fantastic. I was back taking care of the troops.
Because he's retired,
Yeah.
retired military.
Yeah. So,
I am not, by the way. You see in my videos every now and then I'm wearing an Army t-shirt, and I'm an Army wife, not an actual Army person. But I've spent enough time in places.
yeah. She started contracting before I did, and had some really interesting stories.
Which are not good for a live production, but maybe we'll cover that at some point in the future.
Last one boats you were talking about today.
The next thing, well, actually, I'm going to talk about my perception of the typical day. So,
No,
Um,
didn't see him.
when we're in a port, it's Steve's job to contact all the folks that we hang out with and see what they have going on, and if they want to hang out with us, or if we're in a situation where we've booked excursions, we try to check in the day before to see who's booked what excursion, and then if we can arrange to be, because there's so many people on the ship that we can't all be at the same place, all 500 of you can't be at the same place at the same time. So they separate us into different groups, so we kind of finagle, if we go and check in at the same time, then we can be in the same group. We try to organize that. If it's a sea day, I'm usually texting some of the other TikTokers to see if they're up for collaborating or discussing, just things in general. We probably aren't going to do this weekly anymore, but we were doing bloggers and sharers, basically content creators, meeting once a week. And I think we're gonna probably start doing once every 2 weeks for that. So that takes a little bit of coordination, not a huge amount, but we're moving forward and keeping that group going, just not as frequently. Because we're all so busy. Goodness. It's been kind of crazy this year. Between putting the videos together and actually enjoying the experience, because it's not a job. This is a vacation. So all the videos and all the TikTok stuff is. I love doing that. With the collaboration with Anthony. Is this organized via WhatsApp or Facebook? Oh, so we tried doing the organization with Facebook, but the problem is a lot of people have notifications turned off on that. So the first time we had a meeting, the short answer to your question is we coordinate through WhatsApp because more people check that more often than they do Facebook. But yeah, the first meeting, a whole bunch of people missed it because they didn't see the notification until 2 hours after it was over. So I like to be all inclusive, to include everybody, and I felt bad that so many people missed it. And also because we didn't know how to book spaces, and it was just really frustrating. Let's see. So I'm gonna go back to the typical day. So coordinating that. Almost always do breakfast. We don't always do lunch.
I don't, not yet ready, but they already
If you saw,
I guess
if you saw my video about
still
food,
talking. You want me to
I'm not
place
going to go
around
into it because apparently it's a sore subject. It essentially is
Because they will sit there for an hour.
started into on the
They
PlayStation
say to us,
at least once a day, if not twice a day, and instead of a meal.
I think they're the first sitting in there, so yeah. But I have the
Usually
same
afternoons, we're
thing.
putting videos together and thinking about what I'm going to do for the next day.
I have like you friends also like
I
that.
also need to get back into the gym.
I have only the
And,
660. You want to sit?
I haven't been going to the pool at all because the day we were in Eureka, I completely forgot to put sunscreen on and ended up with a really horrible sunburn. Luckily the makeup I use has an SPF 50, so my face was fine, but my chest and neck was really burnt. So
that was the day I didn't take my hat.
and that was the day he didn't take his hat, so he also got sunburned. So I'm just getting to the point where I can probably be out in the sun again without hurting myself. Have I met Amazu, aka Josh? I have not yet. I'm following him, and I have seen some of their videos, and I know some of the other TikTokers have met him, but I have not. I need to watch the TikTok again so I can see what he looks like, so I can spot him in the wild, in the wild, yeah. So the last question I have for Steve and I is, do we, this, and I get this a lot, I don't know why people think this, but do we regret anything about the trip, and would you do it again?
No regrets, and yes.
That's all you got? Okay.
Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, no regrets, and yes, I would do it again. It's an adventure,
Yeah.
Even though we've had to miss a couple of things here and there, and we've had some redirects. That's part of the adventure.
Yeah. So I also regret nothing, and I would 100% do this again, assuming that I could afford to pay for it.
Yes.
So, like, if Royal Caribbean does another one of these, I'm hoping it's like 5 years down the road. That might help. I don't know. So, have we been on many cruises? Okay, so this is kind of a funny story. Do you want to tell this one?
Right now, you go ahead.
Okay. So,
I'll start going down rabbit holes.
all right. So, when we decided we were going to do the world cruise, how do we want to? I'm trying to figure out how far back to start the story. I'll just start. We made the final decision to do this in November of 2022. We had to pay in full by the first week in January. And we found out at that point, neither one of us had any points with Royal Caribbean. I've been on one cruise in my life before, and he had only been on 2. And anyway, I found out that we needed to have platinum status in order to get the 7 World Wonders, New World Wonders cruise. So, and I'm finagling any way to get cruise points for this. I don't know. Again, we're new at that too, so we weren't really sure how.
You need 30 points.
We needed 30 points. And I was still working at the time. So I had a limited amount of time that I could take off. What we decided to do was we booked 3 essentially back-to-back cruises on the same ship with the same itinerary in a junior 5 days, because that's all we could find in the year. We didn't want to have to fly anywhere, and we were close enough to Galveston that we could drive. But exact same itinerary, and and we did all 3 in April. So it was there was a lot of spring break crowd and stuff. So we had fun, and the funniest part about, aren't you getting off the ship? Nah, we don't need to, because we're going to do the trip again 2 more times, so it's fine. We had a blast, and I do wish that our room. The room we have now was as big as that one.
Yeah, the junior suite.
The junior suite was very
Just
nice.
a little bit more room, but in the right spots. The closet is so much bigger.
Is so much bigger.
At least that was on the Adventure,
Yes.
which is the mixed class larger, I think it is. So that could have a little bit to do with it.
It might not have been the same on this ship.
But still, having the junior suite would be nice here.
Yeah. So where's our home base?
We're happy with what we have.
Where's our home base?
Home base, Houston. We call it Houston. General enough. But we're closer to Galveston, I will say.
And TJ wants to know if we're going to upgrade for any segments. So we have not been given the opportunity to upgrade on any of the mini sailings in this first segment.
So one thing I'm thinking is that there's enough people buying the individual sailings that's keeping the junior suites at least filled up. Our balcony is a nice location, midship, portside.
Really helps with the seasickness, in case you didn't know that about cruising.
Yeah, being mid, and we're on deck 7, so we're fairly still kind of low. We'll still have a good view. So it's okay. We're not displeased with it.
No.
A bigger one would be nice, but if we did upgrade, the whole question about would we be able to get back into our original room.
And for that reason, we might leave it till the end.
Yeah, and there, how it's going to come out after that. Because if we move to another one, and once that sailing's up, that room is no longer available, what would we be able to go back to? That's part of the question. don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, TJ, it is a great room already. No complaints, but
Yeah.
everybody wants more space, right?
Yeah.
I mean, almost everyone on this cruise, especially the ones who are going to be on it for the full 9 months, grossly overpacked. And we're both kind of used to living in small environments, but we're also, in those situations, we don't bring the kitchen sink with us. And we just learn to live with less.
Because you got to carry what you bring.
And that wasn't really an option here because it's not like, if I need a coat and mittens because I'm in Antarctica, I can't just go to a store and buy those.
So
So,
I don't have that story. They got lots of sweats that say Royal Caribbean.
yeah, there's lots of sweatshirts and sweatbands that say Royal Caribbean.
So you can kind of stack them on and just lay them.
So yeah, loving it, would absolutely do it again. And the consensus is nobody thinks that Royal Caribbean is going to do this again, but we really hope they can.
Hopefully it's a good enough experience for the company as a whole, for their bottom line. But there's all kinds of different factors involved. There was a big town hall with Captain Stig yesterday that we didn't quite make. But one of my friends was telling me that in there he made a comment about the Serenade, since it's powered by 2 turbine engines and it uses basically jet fuel, we call it. It gets about 7 feet to the liter on fuel economy. So that's yeah, quite a bit. So every port we've been in, they usually bring our fuel tender up alongside of us and start fueling. And if they have the fuel hookups on the docks, then they can start feeding it from there. Of course, it's a ship, so it's going to take lots of fuel in.
Yeah. And I understand kind of across the board. I know Royal Caribbean is doing this. I'm not sure if all of the cruise lines are, but they're moving to designs that are capable of doing renewable energy.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Oh yeah.
And they're trying. I think Royal Caribbean. No, I don't want to say this because it's speculation. But wouldn't it be cool if they were carbon neutral? Which is, I think, what they're working for. Who knows how long that's going to take. We heard there was a fight on the ship. I'm not familiar with any fights.
No, I didn't hear about the fight.
Yeah. So I'm not sure where you heard it or how long ago it was.
I don't know.
All right, so we're on for about an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. Thank you all
Thanks
for
for
joining.
Not just TikTok, but
And-
over on YouTube as well.
Yes.
Sorry, we're going to try and get that worked out a little bit better.
And thank you all for the support you showed to Keith. I really appreciate that. He's a great guy. So 2 things that I want to end with. One, I'm going to block off time to do live streams every Thursday. I know a lot of the other TikTokers are doing live streams way more often. But for me, it's probably going to just have to be once a week. So it'll be, and Thursdays around this time. So you'll see those. I'm going to schedule those and create the events a couple of days before once I know when we're doing them. So you'll be able to register for the event ahead of time if you like. And YouTube, I can figure out some other stuff with that.
We'll try and get that a little bit better for y'all too.
And then the idea is Friday to publish things that are, we're all trying to keep up, in the day-to-day, what we're doing on the ship and what we're doing on our excursions and stuff. And so I wanna start concentrating on more entertaining stuff. So that's gonna be my goal for Fridays, and that's kind of why I'm doing the live stream on Thursdays.
And starting Sunday when we leave out of LA, we're going to have 5 sea days to Hawaii.
Oh yeah, so
Then
we'll
I
have
think
some
it's
downtime.
3 days in Hawaii, Island, and another 4 going south. So we'll have plenty of sea days coming up. So
And then
down to New Zealand and Australia.
Yep. And further to the Thursday live streams, assuming that I do actually get those put together, one of the things I'd like to do, is talk about the book Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia. So if you weren't here for the first part, Keith and I discussed that a little bit. He hasn't read the book yet, but he's familiar with the doctor. It's kind of a roadmap for living well into the later decades of life and living longer. So it was a life-changing book for me, which is kind of why I wanted. I'm not going to make a habit of book club thing, but I really would like to cover that one. And that's probably going to be at least half the content for the Thursday live streams. So I'll start out with something else and then I'll end with the book. That way, if you're not interested in the book, you can just duck out early. So, are you getting anything in LA? We're meeting a friend in LA. And what was it called? The book is called Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia.
He also does podcasts.
He has
I know they're on YouTube.
He has a podcast called The Drive, and he collaborates with all sorts of other podcasters too. So
A lot of good information.
you might have seen him, and he has at least 1 or 2 TED Talks. So if you Google TED and Dr. Peter Attia, you'll pull up some stuff there. The TED Talks are kind of old though. So New Beginnings 9, if you've wanted to read it, pick up a copy. I'm not kidding, it's fabulous. It helps with so many things, not the least of which is being an advocate for yourself and actually being able to interpret your test results and know something about them yourself. All right, so
talking about getting stuff in LA, yeah, we're going to try and do some resupply since we're back in the States. So a bunch of our fellow cruisers today here in Cabo, or in Cabo, we've already left Cabo. They all went to Walmart. And one of our good friends, when they were getting back on the ship, they had bags and bags, and they said, "Yeah, we went all the way around South America just to go to Walmart." So, yeah.
they got snacks and a pillow.
Yes, we got a bunch of snacks.
All right, thank you
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
And I'll be posting tomorrow, and I'll do a live stream next Thursday. Thanks. Okay, I don't know what that one is.
Did you get that one?
No. There we go.
All right. Bye-bye.